Hello and welcome everyone. Hope you are doing very well. Welcome to the second session of our workshop. This session we're going to work on a cylindrical light. More precisely a model for this type of light that you can see, and we're going to create it parametrically because we want to be able to control its size, like make it taller or shorter. We would usually find the cylindrical lights in several heights, like maybe 3 or 4 of them. Now, before we start, guys, for these types of lights, again, we have a very simple job to do. There are just some few simple rules and principles that we need to discuss. Alright, guys, so if you remember, we used this template, this family template, for creating our halogen lights model. For this one, though, let's try another one. I'm going to go ahead and open up metric lighting fixture here. Alright guys, now as I said, we want to work parametrically here. So, the most important parameter that we need here, let's take another look at the image. The most important parameter here would be the height parameter. Now, let's assume that we have a ref level here, for example. We can start drawing the sketches from this point. So, as a result, this range here is where we can actually specify our height parameter. So guys, what we need to do here, let me specify my unit system before I forget. Anyway, as I was saying, what we need to do here would be creating our model and this boundary, and then we can join it with this line here to control its height. So first, guys, I need to set a dimension here. It is 150 cm. Okay, now let's set up its parameter. As I said, it's going to be height. Okay. All right, now let's go ahead and test this a little bit. For example, let's set the value on 25, and then let's select this and set the shape on spotlight maybe, or semicircle. This is quite optional, so don't worry about that. Anyway, I'm going to set this on spotlight, and then for the angle, I'm going to go with -90. And after doing these, now we can start our work. Like, we need to draw the sketches. So, guys, the model is called Cylindrical Lights, so obviously we need a cylindrical extrusion for this. Now, I'm going to set the radius on 2.5, so obviously the diameter would be 5. Okay, and now, as you can see here, we are easily able to, we are actually free to move this up or down. But there's a point here. We get this void, which works as some sort of a dividing line, and this lower part here always has a fixed up height, for example, like 4 or 5 cm. But this is not a case in the top part. The height in the top part could easily vary. Alright, now let's see how we can work on this. As I said, let's assume that this is 5 cm. If I want to be more precise, for example, 4.5 for this part, and the void would be 5 cm. Half a cm, I'm sorry. So, we get that we actually need to specify a very exact and precise formula to give us what we need. Well, guys, take a look at here. We have extrusion, and which would actually represent this gap here. Let's create a parameter for it. Let's call it H1, for example. Type, okay. Now, for the formula, whatever value we had for the height, subtract it by 5. Well, obviously 5 cm. Now this should automatically become 20. Now let's say the total height that we got here is actually 35. And as you can see, the height easily changes here as well. Okay, now let's do something else. I'm going to go ahead and set my work plane right on this top face. And then what I need here exactly would be an extrusion with an offset of 0.5 millimeters maybe. So 0.05. Well, you know what? Let's make it more distinguishable. Why not? 1 millimeter. Yeah, even better. Let's set the extrusion like this. And then after that, we need to specify the extrusion end. So 0.5. And now this extrusion works based on the cylinder below it. They would move together completely. As an example, let's go ahead and change the height to 20. See? They would move together. How about 15? Same story. Alright, now once again, we need a new work plane, this time up here. By the way, guys, the fixed up parameters do not need to be locked to anything because, well, they are fixed up. They just need a fixed up value. Anyway, we need another extrusion up here. So, finish. And then for its height, let's go with 4.5 cm. And now if you take a look at the whole thing, you'll see that the form is somehow completed. Now let's test the parameters again. For example, 20, 25, and everything works perfectly. Okay guys, now how about the details? Well, we have this interior conoidal form, for example. We can start our work with this, yeah. First off, we need to set our work plane. It will be up here on this face, by the way. And then we can use void blend because, as I said, we got this conoidal form. This means that we actually have different dimensions in top and bottom sections. Like, for example, for the top section, this is actually the bottom one. Let's go with 1 or maybe 2 millimeters. It's too much. Let's go with 1 actually. Okay, now select here and here. What happened? Okay, they didn't get selected correctly. Let's do it again. Here we go. Now edit top. Okay, what's going on here? Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go here and type down 2.4. Now edit top. Then SC. Let's minimize this a bit. Why did I do this? Because, well, we got this void which moving upwards gets smaller and smaller. All right. So now I'm going to select this and move it down and set it here. And you can actually see this minimizing process. And yeah, now we have this cut. I guess we can even make this smaller. I mean, more precisely, we can indicate this conoidal form that we want even further. Alright, now let me set the graphic display on shaded, and this would be what we created so far. Okay, now for these parts, we need to create material parameters. For example, let's call this one body 1. Okay. And then for this void here, let's go with, well, let's go with void. Yeah. I mean, we only got 1 void. Alright, now guys, we can't use a separate material for this part here. So we can open up manage. I mean, well, we can actually set another extrusion and then use a different material. But anyway, what I want is to light up this interior part. I mean, talking about this part here. You know what, let me just move this a bit upwards to display everything better. So, let's open up manage and then create a new material here. Let's call this new material light source. And then for its color, I'm going to go with yellow. Okay? Now, I need paint. So, PT on the keyboard. And then set the light source for all of this interior part. Now, when we load this into the project, the material would be set in our materials list, and then we can easily work with it, like we can turn it on and off. So yeah, let's just load this in and see what's going to happen. Now guys, we are only able to use this on this face because it was our only specified work plane. Now, if you want to be able to set this on different faces, here we need to activate work plane base and then also deactivate always vertical. Now, let's load this in one more time. And now, as you can see, I would be able to set this wherever I want, for example, on the ceiling here. All right, now let's do something else. Here, I'm going to get a duplicate and then change the height to 20 cm. Oh, it's 20 meters, I'm sorry. Okay. Then maybe 15 cm. Okay. And then 10 cm. Oh, this time I forgot to get a duplicate. So yeah, let me just set this here and then select it. Now, duplicate. Then 10 cm. All right. Now another one. And this time 0.07. Okay, now what is this one? It's 25. It's too much. Let's go with 20 instead. Alright guys, now we have different sizes, different heights of cylindrical lights. Let's check this in Inkscape. Okay, let me add a little bit of daylights here to check what we have done. Okay, seems like we don't have sunlight. Okay, don't worry, let's do something else. From the materials list that we got in Inkscape, we should have a light source here. Yeah, here we go. Let's select it, and in here, set it on self-illuminated. There we go. Now we have light sources here. Then we can obviously control the luminance or the intensity here. And then if we reduce this, we would see everything even better. Very simple. Let me set this on white mode. And yeah, we have these beautiful models that we can easily use in our projects, and their lighting shape is set on spot. And also because we have worked with lighting fixture, if we go ahead and press VG and then activate a light source again, we would be able to see those as well. And just like before, we have these further settings. For example, photometric settings, we can control the color further. Or for example, the wattage, let's go with 500 again to increase the light emitting. And yeah, that is basically it. Simply done. Now, by the way, guys, we still have some further tricks and techniques that we're going to discuss later on. But at this point, what you should be doing, I mean, as a practice actually, would be creating the models of these types of lights that we have talked about in this session. I mean, cylindrical lights. Oh, and guys, let me give you another point before I forget. While you're setting your circle down here, if you go ahead and fix up or actually set the dimension and then specify a particular parameter for it, you would be able to control its size. I mean, talking about the diameter more precisely. And yeah, that's it, guys. See you next time. Good luck.